Happy Father's Day to all the fathers out there. So for some reason, these brakes on this 69 Dodge were really spongy. Been working it out, end up installing a vacuum pump. So this just helps you with stopping, and it attaches over to your brake booster right there. Also, you can tell this is a new hood, and if you know anything about Sweptlines, this is a 1 year only hood here that they were made in 1968. So it has the original early style hoods that were made from 61 to 67 with these little louvers here that are non-functional. Might someday be able to come in here and cut in here and make it functional, but it's still flat across the front, so it matches for a 68, 69 grill. Brake pedal's sticking on the ground right now.
Got an emergency brake though, there's a hole right there.
Emergency brake? You don't want that when you're driving down the road?
No.
It's for burnouts. Nice. The heater's working with the original switch.
No, the ain't working yet. The switch works.
Oh, the switch works. But blowing hot. Gonna start working on the inside of the truck. We're first gonna have to pull the seats out of this thing so we can get access to all these spot welds, grind them down, and then seam seal everything. All right, as we're going through, grinding all these welds down, getting them all nice and flat, knocking the tops off. Also going back through with the DA, hitting it with 40 grit to knock all this rust down, because when we put the bed coating on here, that's gonna be on here mixed with the white paint, it ain't gonna wanna stick to rust. they got the full use out of that. Looks like your grandma's hair on there. All right, got it all cleaned up decent. Now we're gonna put some seam seal on any of the seams. So anywhere it's been welded new and old. So all around here, down through here. All right, got the seam sealer done. Now doing metal to metal. So this is basically body filler, but you can do metal to metal directly. Now you can see this back cap corner, it's already looking much better. This stuff, when you're putting it on, you want to try and get as flat as possible. You can sand it, but it's going to be a pain because it gets hard. You want to modernize your Sweptline, but you want to keep it kind of looking stock. Well, today we're just going to be doing that. We got the original dash cluster bezel majiggy right here. Now this one's in pretty good shape and we don't want to ruin a good one. So we're cutting up a bad one here. Got this whole centerpiece cut out here, and so now it has a big open gap. I'd be asking, now why would you be doing that? And the reason is because we got all these digital gauges here. First off, let's start right there. Made in America. All right, so it's this Intellector hard create a dash 6 gauge panel. So basically, it has all these different things. It has your speedometer right here.
Also includes your high beam, turn signals.
And also got an oil gauge right here. Got your battery voltages right here. And you think, well, that's awful ugly looking, but it's got a piece of tinted plexiglass that we're gonna fit into this stock Sweptline dash. All right, put some tape on this, marking it up. Gonna be able to cut out the back piece that goes behind your dash. Now this actually does slope down in the corners, so it's actually shorter down here than it is in the middle. So got to compensate for that. It doesn't change that much, but it changes a little bit. Now got to cut out this section here. Got it cut out, and now we're seeing if the back piece is going to fit in. It's going to be a little big there, so you're going to have to shave just a smidge off. As you can see by the yellow tape side, it's fitting nice and pretty up in there. And that's just the back plate, not the front plate, so that's what your gauges are going to mount to. Now marking where the original holes are on your back plate for your original dash, because this is still how it's going to have to mount up from these original holes, which will screw in into these two areas here. The plan is to keep this looking pretty factory to the original cluster here. So the fuel gauge will be on the very left, and we'll have our voltmeter, speedometer straight in the center, your temp gauge, and then your oil gauge, just like this. This kit did come with a tack as well, but there was no tack on the original cluster, and also the Cummins didn't have one, so we're not going to worry about that. Trying to figure out how we want them. We can either put the speedometer right in the center, or we can go straight out with the rest of the gauges, or we can kind of put this one higher and this one lower and kind of do like a rainbow. So 1.1 inch from the speedometer, the gauge is 1 3/4 inch, 1/8 between this gauge and this gauge with 1 1/8 to spare. Pretty equal all the way down the whole cluster. Got everything laid out. That's kind of showing what you're gonna be working with once you get your gauges in there. You're gonna cut it out. You look creepy. All right, time to cut this out. So here's a preview of kind of what we're going to be working with here. So that's just laying over. Got it cut where it fits nice and tight inside this bezel. And you can see this is where your gauge is going to be mounted on the back side. You can see through it. So now it's time to mount the gauges to the back plate. So I went through here, drilled holes right where these guys are going to have to mount. We're also in the center of this, of each one where the gauges are going to drill a hole there so we can put the wiring for your gauges. It needs to go somewhere, so we're going to have that wire come down like that and go out the back, and then we'll hook everything in.
Washer on the bolt. Let's take the bolt through there. Spacer. One long sandwiches. Why are they so long? Are they all long like that?
Well, the custom cluster's made. Now we'll show you the final product after we get some paint on the inside of this cab. The digital gauge you guys haven't really seen. Taking a look at it with the cluster in and everything. This might get painted here, and then it's got that piece of plastic that we showed before that lays over the top of this and makes that invisible when the truck's off, but it looks really good when it's on right there. Ended up doing the same thing on the flooring, just like the green truck that did last. It's got that kind of undercoating look on the rockers. Just give a little texture and it'll deaden down the sound. Ended up going white with the dash, which is a little bit different, but turned out really good. That's all glossy along with the roof. For single stage, just has a pretty good little mirror effect to it. Now we're gonna be throwing this interior back together. Gonna be running the original blue seats, just the benches currently, and then haven't decided if we're gonna do a blue or black dash pad. So the only way to get this thing attached here, how to drill holes to have screws go through, as you can see right there. Ended up, this is the original back seat, and this was the front seat, which is in much worse shape, as you can see here. So took the brackets off of this seat, put it on that one. Gonna use that as the front, and this is the back. Well, there it is, got the seats in it. They aren't in good shape at all, but it's just temporary. It's not gonna be permanent, and they are getting crap everywhere. The next thing to be done is get these doors looking right, because they are way gone, so that's gonna be quite the job right there. Gotta do that for all of them, get those painted as well, so they match the white on the truck.